Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated on providing you the how-tos of marketing and networking strategies. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Networking with Michelle. Today's special guest is Hutchinson Taylor. She is a herbalist and physiologist teacher who helps women rediscover their feminine beauty and find the complete path to healing. I am so excited to be learning from her today. Jennifer, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you so much for having me, Michelle.
You're welcome. How did you get started in this niche?
Wow, I have a long story how I got started in it, but really just basically starting to understand how my body works and dealing with some of my own health issues back, about 7 years ago now. I dealt with things like eczema, poor digestion, poor nutrition, just lack of energy and things like that. And I started to look into the natural ways to be able to heal myself. And there's a long story behind that, but I went to school and I came across a course in my graduate program at the university, at Winthrop University, called Mechanisms of Disease. And it basically taught me or opened my eyes really to the fact that we have mechanisms in our body to be able to heal ourselves. And I started to look into that more deeply and found my love and passion for herbs and for natural healing practices, things that we can do to help empower ourselves, to heal ourselves instead of being dependent on pharmaceuticals or surgery or more harsh and harmful types of treatments. But it's been a while now that I've been working and working on myself first, and now creating this practice where I help heal women or help really empower women to heal themselves as well. So
Yeah, I'm actually so glad to be talking to you today because, when this airs, it's going to be beginning top of 2017, and everyone starts off with the resolutions and the goals, get back in the gym, the membership. And what I've decided to do this year, because I go through that every year, but I always feel like my health is priority. At the lower levels, kind of like I have all of these business goals and my health, but it's like number 5 or 6. And this year I've decided I'm just going to focus on my health. Like
sure.
24/7, 365. And I feel like everything else is going to fall into place.
Mm-hmm.
So what are those, how can someone be consistent and disciplined when it comes to taking care of themselves?
Yeah, and I commend you on taking that step and opening up 2017 with that type of mindset and that type of mentality that your health is going to help you create this lifestyle that you love. And if you are in business for yourself, I know a lot of your listeners are probably business owners. You have to take care of yourself in order to create a business that is thriving. You can't burn yourself out. You can't keep dipping into an empty cup. And when it's gone, it's gone. And so you have to really, this whole self-care movement has come about recently, and it's amazing and great. Taking care of yourself, doing things that, being aware of how you are so that you can continue to serve other people is number one. It should be priority for most entrepreneurs, especially. And it can be. And so you're asking about sustainable practices. For me, I'll just give you kind of my outline of my day or things that I do about self-care. And I teach this. I have several classes online. I do mindfulness classes. I do herbalism classes. I also have a Facebook group that we do a lot of this types of stuff in. I have another course, a holistic life course, meaning like how to create a holistic life and lifestyle. So for me, I get up in the morning. So what I do, I connect nutrition, herbs, or natural medicine, and also mindfulness. Those are my three main areas for my practice and for my business and my expertise. And so I basically, for my morning, is all about being grateful, having gratitude, putting in your mind this intention for the day, especially for business owners, intention for the day that you are worthy, you're worthy of an abundant life, and in that abundant life, you should have the best health possible so that you can do more and be more. And so, first thing, always give gratitude. If you're, a more religious person, saying prayers, being thankful, doing that in the morning is really helping train your mind to always have this better outlook, and that is part of your health. And so when you start to open your eyes to your abundance and what you can be and do, you start to seek out things that are going to nurture that, which will be healthy foods, right? So if you want to have this wonderful life of prosperity in all things, you start to seek out those things that are going to give you that. And so natural and healthy foods is one of the main ways that you can do that. So eating a very healthy breakfast. For me, I like to stay away from a lot of the sugary stuff. I know that's kind of hard, but the sugar is just going to make you crash later on. So you want something that's more sustainable for your breakfast, something high in fiber, so you're supporting your digestive system, and that's going to keep you moving and going all day. Drinking plenty of water. I just got off a client call yesterday, and she was like, water is something that I just cannot do enough of. And I said, she's like, I need to drink more water. And I was like, do it right now. Whenever you whenever you think about, I need to drink more water, get up and go get
do
some
it
water.
right.
And then any other time in between, basically, I told her to set a timer. Okay, so set a timer for basically every quarter hour, so every 45 minutes, it should go off for you to at least get a cup of water, drink some water, throughout the day. And that's one of the main things you can do too. But yeah, every time you think about being healthy, doing something, exercising, just get up and go do it. Don't write it down on the calendar. Get up and go do it. Even at your desk right now, if you're at home listening or wherever at your desk at work, you can be doing some exercises right now. Just at your desk doing some what do you call them? Kind of like lunges or just walking in place, anything to kind of keep your body going. And so those are just some tips that you can do to kind of, make sure that you're just always having that on your mind and having it as a sustainable type practice for yourself, something that's easy to do.
Okay. I don't know if this is a silly question or not, and please excuse if I come across a little ignorant. But when it comes to water, especially now on social media, we see all these videos, yummy.com, BuzzFeed. Now, should you just drink regular bottled water, or should you infuse it with all of these fruits and mints? Like, what's the best way to drink water?
I say the best way to drink water is straight water, plain water. There really is no best way. I just say that. There's just water. I mean, I'd like to drink lemon and or lime water. Organic usually is best. So squeezing a lime is a little bit more nutritional. Because lemons are we can talk all day about hybrid foods and not GMO type foods and all that, but limes are a little bit less hybridized or less what I'm trying to say. So limes still give you that detoxing ability and high in vitamin C, which is great for boosting your energy. Cleansing your liver will also help you feel more energetic over your day. So lime juice or lemon juice is okay too in the mornings is great. But other than that, I don't think you would need to infuse your water with any type of fruits or anything like that. Just eat the fruit separate and drink the water. One thing about fruit is that you should try to eat your fruit separate from any other meals, because it is usually is a high water content in the fruit, and has a lot of it's high energy, or it breaks down very fast. Fruit does break down very fast, and so it gives you a boost of energy. Um, so you want to eat that first, let your body kind of digest that, and then go into your daily, your meal, so that you can, you know, not be packing in more food before you've broken down what you've already eaten. So, but yeah, water is just water. Just
When it comes to the fruit, I've realized when I eat fruit, like a bowl of fruit in the morning, I actually get that extra boost of energy. But I guess what are in your opinion, what fruits do you recommend? Because it does get kind of hard because there are some fruits that do have a lot of sugar versus others.
right. Yeah, there are. I'm not when it comes to nutrition for me, what I do for my clients and talk about with my clients is there's really no specific diet. There's no diet out there that you need to be following. You need to really understand your own body so that you can eat the foods that are best suited for you, because we're all very different. We all have a basic genetic makeup, but then we have another genetic makeup on top of this called epigenetics. Now, I'm a physiologist, and so I could talk all day about that, but basically, that makes us um, all different, this epigenetics. And so, when it comes to that, and it comes to our connection with food, we should be eating whole foods, and that's fruits and vegetables, so nothing that is, highly processed. Um, but if you're not, I mean, I recommend and promote a plant-based diet and a vegan diet. But if are able to, certain people are able to process milk and dairy a little bit better. I don't recommend it, but some people are, and so I can't tell them that they should never do that. And that comes along with meat as well. So you have to know your body first. When it comes to fruit, yes, there are different qualities of fruit. When a lot of people have something I dealt with as well, a condition called candida, which is a yeast overgrowth. Millions of people have this issue, especially women, and it basically makes you fatigue. It makes you have gas. It makes your skin look a little bit dull, and a lot of different conditions or symptoms with it. But when it comes to someone who is like, on the verge of candida overgrowth, I would cut out a lot of sugary fruits. So, strawberries, oranges, bananas are high in sugar. Some other things, like melons, are a little bit less, like watermelons, a little bit less, but it's not, it all kind of depends on your constitution. If you have that um, constitution that is more susceptible to candida overgrowth. And the reason why it's connected to sugar and fruit is because the bacteria and the yeast actually feed off of that sugar. And so you would need to start cutting out some of your sugar. But fruit sugar is better than refined white sugar, obviously. Um, and so you can, if you're kind of keeping everything else in balance and making sure your nutrition is up to par, then you can take in sugar from fruit. That's fine.
Okay. I enjoyed your blog, a beautiful website, by the way, and I enjoyed your blog. You really focus, as you stated, you do focus on the herbs. Um, so you have a couple of different blog posts that I like. But what are some of the common, if you can go through the top 10 herbs for healthy living, share that with the audience and the benefits for a few of those?
Oh, sure. Yeah, thank you. So there are some of my favorite herbs. I just posted in my group about three of my favorite herbs. I don't think I know at least one of these is on the list, but there are three. Like for example, like I was talking about before, with like dull skin, um, brittle nails, thinning hair, things like that. This is kind of also going back to how I got started in herbalism. I was seeing these types of issues come up in my life, and it connected. I also had terrible bouts with eczema, so I had skin irritations, and so that also connects with your digestive system and your nutrient absorption. Okay, so that's kind of my focus when I my practice is nutrient absorption and digestion and reproduction. So there's some herbs that are really great for providing more nutrients into your body. I call them like the multivitamin substitutes. So instead of going over the counter and getting a multivitamin like Women's Day or whatever those are called, you can take herbs. And my favorites are nettle leaf and alfalfa. And then there's also another good one called spring horsetail. And these are all basically common weeds, common plants. Alfalfa, for example, is used often in livestock feed, okay, because it's very highly nutritious for the animals. And so you just think about, okay, you're providing that much nutrition. It's high in vitamins and minerals, and we're not talking about just vitamin A and B and whatever C. We're talking about like selenium, magnesium, manganese, boron, iron, somewhat. And so you're getting a really great energy boost and nutrient boost when you're taking these types of herbs. And nettle is also something that you can grow yourself. It's it's a plant, but it's highly nutritious as well. It has a very high chlorophyll content. And chlorophyll is a natural deodorizer. It's a natural cleanser. So if you're getting into like wanting to do a detox, nettle is one of my favorite herbs for that as well. And then horsetail, and also nettle is great for your reproductive system too for women. But horsetail is one that's kind of specific to like your hair, skin, and nails, and making you feel look more young and beautiful. And that's kind of the things that I talk about a lot too. But horsetail has a high content of silicon, and silica is used in your connective tissue. So like if you have kind of like bruises on your skin, or discoloration, or for wound healing, if you have a scratch or something like that, and being anti-inflammatory, that's one of the herbs that's really great for your skin, hair, skin, and nails in particular.
Is there, I guess, what is the best form? For example, of course, you can go to the grocery store, farmers markets, and get some things, and you can cook with it. Um, for example, you have cayenne, rosemary, ginger.
Mhm.
And sometimes I wonder, like, if you're adding these herbs into your food, or if you're at Smoothie King and they have these supplements, like, is your body really absorbing all of the benefits from that?
That is a great question. I've never had anyone ask that question, and that is an amazing question. Because no, it's a very good point, seriously, because people don't realize that a lot of times there's a difference between there's a thin line, I should say, between the culinary herbs, like you mentioned, and medicinal herbs. It's a very thin line, okay? Because ginger, for example, is a great example. Most people know ginger as a culinary herb, using in gingerbread cookies, ginger, baking and things like that. But it's also a very strong, ancient, tried and true, very reliable medicinal herb for a number of things, not just digestion and not just, anti-nausea, because, you may have heard that as well, for ginger. But it's an amazing herb. I mean, it helps you with your eyesight, it helps you with heart and circulation in your system. If you just like cayenne as well, cayenne is used as a spice in a lot of, ethnic dishes. However, it's also an amazing medicinal herb for circulation, for your heart, for your brain, for you can use it topically even for to stop bleeding. Okay, so it's a astringent. It's an amazing. So there's a thin line between that, and so when like you said, if we're taking in these herbs through our food, are we getting the same types of benefits? And I would say yes, but no.
Right. No.
Yeah, so you are getting the benefits, but not in the way that you would if you were taking it as a medicine.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm saying, so the threshold, I guess, of what it can do when it's taken separately as a medicine is much, much higher. The benefits are much higher if you're taking it as a specific formula or medicine. Yeah. And then it comes down also to your absorption, and your digestive system, because if it's mixed with other things, you're gonna have less absorption, whether or compared to if you were taking it separately, as a medicine. Yeah. Hmm.
I'm just getting over a cold. Of course, a lot of us, we I don't know where some of these recipes come from, but hotty toddy, right? Sometimes we mix honey, lemon, ginger, and good shot of whiskey.
Yes, seriously. And you know what that? I mean, that's so true. I mean, whiskey is well. So the I teach herbalism. I teach an intro to herbalism course online, and then I teach it in person as well. And the we talk about herb preparation techniques. So you can make it a tea, which is AKA an infusion. Infusion is the real word to use. You can make herbs in a decoction form where you boil the herbs, or you can make them in a tincture. Now, the tincture is actually an alcohol um, formulation or alcohol preparation. And so that's where that is. That's where it comes from. You can use vodka. Most people use vodka, but you can also use rum. That's whiskey, right? So these types of things come about, and we question them a little bit, or think they're funny, and they are, but they make sense when it comes down to that, because what you're doing is you're extracting out the alcohol soluble chemicals that are going to be used as medicine in your body. And so, yeah, definitely. And that's a great formula. I know I just posted this actually in my Facebook group. Someone asked about a remedy for colds, and I said yes. Echinacea, elderberry are great herbs, but do you have to go out and find those, right? What do you have in your kitchen already? You have some ginger, maybe. You have some garlic. You have a lemon, and you have warm water. Blend it all up. May have some cayenne as well. Put the cayenne in there for getting the mucus out of your nose. Yes, put all that in a blender and basically drink it. Now it's not going to taste good, but it's going to knock it out. It's
Okay.
going to knock it out.
Okay. As you stated, most of the listeners, entrepreneurs, are just busy. Just let's just say busy professionals, probably working 9 to 5, got the side hustles, possibly drinking energy drinks, caffeine, coffee all day. What are some of the pros and cons, or if there are any pros, to drinking energy drinks as well as coffee?
Yeah. Um, Gosh, to be honest, I'm not even gonna lie. There's no pros. There's really no pros to doing that, because what you're doing is telling your body that it's not. I'm gonna get spiritual on you. You're telling your body it's not good enough. It's not doing what it needs to do, and that's kind of the worst thing you can do, is to train your body to be dependent on something else for energy, especially. Um, you want to train your body to be able to supply its own energy through the nutrients that you're bringing in, that are going to be in harmony with your body and help to boost your own immune system, boost your own mental capacity, boost your own circulation, or whatever is lacking. So you don't want to be dependent on something outside that's going to give you that energy, in the form of the purpose of an energy drink or coffee is to boost your energy, right? But the purpose of nutrients from foods is just that, nutrients for food so that you can have energy. So there's like a middleman that you're missing out on when you're taking taking in too much coffee and energy drinks. Um, and so yeah, I highly I definitely don't recommend drinking coffee. I know people love coffee, and I know it's hard to get over it, and Starbucks is on every corner, but you can slowly get out of it. And there are some, you know, green tea is a great option. Um, Coffee, it has its good and bad points. Coffee is is an herb as well. The coffee bean has medicinal properties. It has and, of course, is an energizer, but it's also a detoxifier. It helps to purify your blood. It has great medicinal properties, but people overdo it, and people don't use it as a medicine. They use it as a crutch. Okay. Yeah, so you're using it differently than what it's supposed to be used for, using it as a crutch to get through the day. And also you're adding usually a lot of milk, which is inflammatory, mucus building, mucus causing, and sugar also to the coffee. I don't think anybody drinks plain coffee. Or the majority of people don't drink just plain coffee because it's very bitter, and bitter is a good thing. Bitter helps to break your sugar addiction. So bitter tasting herbs, bitter tasting foods help to break your sugar dependence. And so, like I said, coffee is amazing when it's used in the way that it's intended. Now we have used it as a social means, or as as a crutch for us to get through the day, and that's not right.
Now, when you said the thing about milk, um, it creates mucus. This Does that still
Mhm.
apply to the powdered creamers? If you
Oh
substitute
yeah.
the okay, okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, because the thing is, you don't have most of us don't have the lactase enzyme, which is what we need to break down lactose, and that's the main sugar that's in milk. A lot of times you'll see a non-dairy creamer, but it'll still have some of these, like casein, for example, is a protein that we still can't digest. So anything that you can't digest is going to cause inflammation in your gut, in your digestive system. Yeah. And then that causes all these, all kinds of problems. Um, but yeah, that's the main thing that's happening there, that causes that, pus and, gross stuff.
Okay, we don't get too nasty on here.
Yeah, right.
um, no, but you did mention benefits of tea. I definitely want to try this once again. Reading your blog, 3 reasons why you should be drinking red raspberry tea every day. I'll definitely have that article linked in the show notes. So just some, I think we do have tea drinkers. I'm a tea drinker, but just to add some variety. So I'm like looking forward to trying to find a way to try out this red raspberry tea one day.
Yeah, great. Yeah. You said some variety of different types of
Well,
teas.
just tea in general.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, red raspberry is like I said in the blog post, it's one of the best. And I wish I could. I'm not a writer, but I wish I could just write more and more about these things, about these herbs. But yeah, red raspberry is one of the best, because it's so very safe. I think that's one thing when people start to get into natural medicine, they either think that things are harmful, or they think that they're not working. And so to kind of, I like to, when people question herbs, I like to present them with herbs that are very safe and that are very effective. And effective over a long term, such as a tonic, and effective on the short term, such as like an herb that's a laxative, like Cascara Sagrada, or something that works really well 9 times out of 10. And so red raspberry is a great example of one of these herbs that is very safe, very effective for women. It is one of the only herbs that actually pregnant women can can utilize during their pregnancy and every stage of their pregnancy. And it's also going to be very supporting to the woman when she's pregnant. But just in general, every woman should be using that, especially, some people may question that, about, well, I shouldn't have to take herbs every day. Well, no, you really shouldn't. Yeah, you should be pulling away from any type of medications. You should be using food more. But herbs are food, so we can go there too. but but basically, you know, the things that we're exposed to, I mean, even me, like I eat on a plant-based diet. I do a lot of, I do everything that I talk about. However, there's some days where I do eat white rice, or I do eat a piece of bread, or I do go to Subway, and get a sandwich, a veggie sandwich or something like that. And so, not that it- I need to, completely detox after that, but I do. And so you need to have your toolbox, you need to have your toolbox of things where, you're continuously keeping on top of yourself. And so I love certain herbs like red raspberry that will help you do that you can take every day very safely and not have to worry, am I taking too much of this, or am I getting, too dependent on it or whatever. It's not that kind of herb. Um, and so it's great for women's reproductive system. It helps to keep your menstrual cycle um, healthy. It helps to reduce menstrual bleeding. It helps to reduce menstrual, discharge. It's supporting to the womb and to the vagina in particular. But it's also an astringent, meaning that if you do have heavy menstrual periods, it can help to reduce the bleeding there. So it's great.
And you mentioned detox. How often should someone detox? I know, I guess just the average, because everyone is different.
Yeah, everyone's different. I recommend when I see a client, I recommend we do a detox. I do a 3-month program with most of my clients, and we do a detox once a month. And I recommend them to continue that practice, detoxing once a month for 1 week out of the month. Now, I have a whole detox program and package that I offer. Um, that has the whole schedule and what you're supposed to do every day of the 7 days and all that. But I recommend at least doing for everybody, for most people, doing at least 1 day where you either fast, or you fast with water, or you fast with like a juice, fluids only, or raw food, raw steamed food, at least one day out of the week. So that would be 4 days out of the month where you do that. Because, and I usually do it on Sundays. I used to do it on Sundays. Now I'm doing with my course members. We do it do that 7 days once a month. But before that, I was doing once every week, 1 day out of the week on Sundays, doing that. Um, but that's because you want to, like I said, we're exposed to so much things that we don't even realize and don't even pay attention to. I used to have a radio show too, and I talked about, how when we drive, like I used to live in California, for example. And if anybody lives in California and between Orange County and LA and Riverside County and all that area, there's a highway called 95, I-95. And it's like a 6-lane highway on both sides, with two lanes for, the easy people that pay money to drive over there. So it's a crazy busy highway. And I'll always, think about this, where I was I was behind these cars that would be releasing a lot of exhaust. Trucks are releasing a lot of exhaust. And I just hated that commute because I taught in Orange and lived in Riverside, which is about a 45-minute drive. Hated that commute because of that. So you're taking in, if you're on a commute, or, if you're behind a lot of trucks, or you live in an environment where there's industrial, pollution in the air, that's one thing, one good reason to make sure you're detoxing regularly.
Gotcha. Got you.
Mhm.
Couple more questions. Sleep. How important is it to get the 6 to 8 hours of sleep?
That is probably out of everything that I've said, it's probably the number one thing to do. I'm serious. Even if you're eating junk food every day, McDonald's every day, drinking your coffee and whatever, not drinking enough water, you if you're still sleeping, you're probably if you're sleeping okay, which you're probably not at that point, but but if you are, you're doing yourself a huge favor because sleep is um so vital because we regenerate ourselves during sleep. Um, and I just in my group, I just did a presentation which I have to reschedule, but we talked about circadian rhythms and about there's this disorder called SAD, seasonal affective disorder, where the days are getting shorter, less sunlight, so you may feel a little bit more sad, depressed. Okay, so during this time, if you are not getting enough sleep, or the whole aspect of your circadian rhythms will really keep everything kind of going well for you, keeping you healthy. And so sleep, at a time of night that is giving you that 8 hours is so important because you're regenerating your system and your cells and your tissues. And it's so interesting that your organs in your body, they all have a clock. They all have like each part of your body is regenerating at different times. Like for example, like your spleen, I believe, regenerates during the day around 3 o'clock. This is not completely regenerating, but like is more active. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's so amazing that everything is kind of on this 24-hour clock. And so if you are also making sure that you are sleeping during those dark hours, and resting during those dark hours and making sure that you have darkness in your surroundings, like turn off everything, then you can really do your body well with that. So, because it's paying attention, your body is paying attention to your outside environment too, and it's taking all of that in.
I feel like I've learned a lot. So, one, thank you. I definitely want to acknowledge you for that. I feel like you're clarifying cliches,
Oh, okay.
whether it's the hottie toddy,
Yeah.
supplements at Smoothie King. But is there anything else? Like, I feel like is there something I haven't asked you that we need to know?
Oh, gosh, I'm not really sure. Let me think. I didn't talk about a lot of different things, but one thing I do like to talk about a lot is especially the mindset aspect. A lot of times, like for me, I've rebranded my business for you entrepreneurs out there. I have rebranded my business and trying to find my niche, my brand message. I think I've found it pretty well now. But one thing that I talk a lot about now is if you want to have this abundant life, if you want to have this life of happiness and joy, like on my website, I say living the happy, harmonious, healthy life that you want. And that comes with mindset and also action. A lot of times people just want to still take a pill, whether it be an herb supplement pill or, a pharmaceutical pill, but they still have that mindset that they need to take a pill for this. And like I try, one of the main things is that I teach and try to encourage people is that that's not being empowered. What really is going to empower you and is going to, make you have and live this abundant life is to take back your power and do the things that are, do what's the work basically that's necessary. So, getting up early, doing your affirmations, doing some meditation, whether it be 10 minutes a day, whatever, doing some exercise, yoga, stretching in the bed, just anything, moving your body, removing things that aren't serving you in your life. If people are, bad, low vibrational people, getting them out of your life, out of your space, like doing all those things that relate really to your mindset will encourage you to take on these practices that we're talking about, doing the herbs, doing the nutrition, staying away from the coffee and the sugar and all that. They go hand in hand very easily, um, And I hope that, that may not be clear to some people, but just meditate on that and think about it.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Because I do believe it's with the mindset. And as I stated earlier, I usually have all of these, some type of intellectual or business goals. And then fitness is like number 5 or 6. And I'm like, Michelle, you got to do things differently.
Right.
You
Yes.
just,
Yep.
so it's like, it's going to be, no, it's going to be the one and only for 2017. So
Okay.
really excited to see how that plays out for this year.
Yes, well, I congratulate you on that because it
Thank
will,
you.
everything will fall into place. I have a mentor and coach, and she always tells me that too. It's like, you focus on one thing that is really going to, that you see underneath that, you make your outline and you see all the bullets underneath that. All those bullets will start to, will, come, come together very easily when you focus and put your heart into something that is, really important. And I know health is something that a lot of people don't really think about until it's too late, really.
Yeah,
And
and I just want to go ahead and share this with my audience too. When I'm saying health, I'm not just referring to losing weight because I do need to do that, right? I need to lose weight, and I do work out about 3 to 4 times a week. But just within the past month, I've went to go get my eyes checked, right?
mm,
So new glasses, new contacts. I've had a knee that's been hurting for several years, so I went to the chiropractor. So now I'm seeing him every week. So,
mm,
also, in my opinion, in my own right, I'm trying to take a holistic approach when it comes to my health. And I've just reached out to my therapist. It's been probably about 5 years since I've seen her. So I want to start getting those sessions going again. So it's not
nice.
just about losing weight, but it's about taking care of all of Michelle, like
Yep.
all of yourself in the entirety. So I just, I want that to resonate with someone on the other end.
Definitely. Yeah, that's beautiful. Definitely. Yeah, people assume that you're just talking about losing weight, but losing weight will change a lot of things in your life. Being your ideal weight. But yeah, there's so many more things that you can also, focus on. And I commend you for doing that, definitely, and for telling your audience about that so they can see that as something they can do too.
I love the title of your company, your website. How can people get in touch with you?
Oh, thank you. Yep, I'm at yourbeautyinbloom.com. So yours spelled out, beauty, N-I-N, and bloom.com. And really quickly, the Your Beauty in Bloom means that, I'm an herbalist. I love to grow herbs and compost and garden and all that stuff. So it has that connotation, but it really means blooming into yourself by nurturing internally. So your beauty, yes, is on the outside. People do see that, or see your your external beauty, but in order to have that beauty, we have to go within and nurture and heal ourselves within, so that that beauty can shine through even more bright. And so that's what the company name is about, and other few things. But yourbeautyinbloom.com, you can find me there. I'm also on Facebook at Your Beauty in Bloom. Um, I would encourage everyone to join my Facebook group. That's free information from me in particular. I'm in there very often, at Beauty and Bloom Sisterhood. Is holistic health group for women only. So Beauty and Bloom Sisterhood, and that is on Facebook. So, but contact me if you're interested in learning more. You can get on to my email list. I always send out great emails about recipes and herbs and events that I have going on. So I love to give free information and free content, and free stuff. So
And the final question: how do you define success?
how do I define success?
Yes.
Oh wow. Feeling success to me is when you feel like everything is in alignment with your greatest good. That's thing is in alignment with your greatest good. So holistic, like you said, holistic, looking at your entire being, your spirit, your mind, your soul, your body, your relationships. Everything is in your greatest, for your greatest good. And that comes from, I can't take that on as my own. That actually comes from Reiki. I'm a Reiki
Okay.
practitioner, and that greatest good is part of the Reiki practice. Yeah. So, but that's success at that point.
I love it. In alignment with your greatest good. Let's work on that. Remember, I believe in you. A personal connection leads to an influential network. Thanks for networking with Michelle.